Hello, good morning, everyone. Today, we are going to present to you what is capital in its kind. But before we start, we would like to introduce ourselves. I am Louis Kipiglumor.
And I am Clarissa Tolibas.
And I am Andre James Busmente. And we are the group 3. And now let's start.
So first, what is capital? Capital is anything that increases one's ability to generate value. It can be used for increased value across a wide range of categories, such as financial, social, physical, intellectual, and others. So capital means is a broad term for anything that gives its owner value or advantage, like factory and its equipment, intellectual property like patents, or a company's or person's financial assets. So money itself can be called capital, the word usually used to describe money used to make things or invest. So in general, professionalism in an organization keep a tab on the capital requirements. So capital for the needs of the company, mostly of three types: equity capital, debt capital, and working capital. So like factory, capital is a equipment or the word usually describe the capital. So anything that confers value or benefit to its factory or owner, such as machinery, intellectual property like patents, and financial assets, business or an individual.
So, types of capital. One is working capital. The difference between a company's asset and liabilities measures a company's ability to produce cash to pay for its short-term financial obligation, also known as liquidity. Next slide, please. And number two, the debt capital. It's acquired by borrowing from financial institutions, banks, friends and family, credit cards, federal loan programs, and venture capital, or by using bonds. Just like an individual needs established credit history to borrow, so too are businesses. Next slide, please. The difference being whether those shares are sold privately or publicly. So sa equity capital naman po refers to the funds that a company raises by selling shares of ownership known as equity to investors. It represents the portion of a company's financing that does not need to be repaid and requires a share in the company's ownership and profits. Then dito naman to meron tayo private and public. So private, shares a stock in a company within a private group of investors. Private funds invested directly into private companies or assets by institutional investors, high net worth individuals, or private equity firms. Then sa public, public shares of a stock in a company that are listed on the stock exchange. So sa public, funds raised by companies through the insurance of securities such as stocks or bonds to the general public traded on public stock exchanges. Number 4, trading capital applies exclusively to the financial industry where brokerage companies need enough capital to support their investment strategies. Trading capital supports the many daily trades that brokerage companies need to make to generate a profit and the large-scale trades made by the biggest brokerage firms. So trading capital funds that traders use to execute buy and sell orders financial markets. It represents the amount of money available to a trader for trading activities, including purchasing stocks, currencies, commodities, or other financial instruments. Trading capital can be in the form of cash or margin, depending on the trader's preference and trading strategy. So number 5, constructed capital. Constructed or manufactured capital refers to the human-made stock of material objects, systems, infrastructure, and process that turn materials into products. So, constructed capital naman, the human-made physical assets and infrastructure used in production and economic activities. It encompasses buildings, factories, machinery, transportation system, utilities, and other constructed resources that contributes to the production of goods and service. So, number 6, human capital is the collection of resources that individuals or groups within a society possess that contribute to economic activities, increase productivity, and enhance the overall quality of life. So, the term human capital refers to the economic value of a worker's experience and skills. Human capital includes assets like education, training, intelligence, skills, health, and other things employers value, such as loyalty and punctuality. Next po.
Type of capital number 7. It is the social capital. Its resources gained through interpersonal relationships and larger social networks. It's the positive outcome of human interaction, including information, resources, innovation, and opportunities. Next slides, please. So, number 7, intellectual capital. It is the information, competency, knowledge, and expertise a person has. It's developed through education, training, and hands-on experience. The first key point of your intellectual capital depends on how your specific knowledge base adds value and provides advantage within a certain context. Next slide, please. Number 8, cultural capital is a collection of material goods, experience, and social assets you attain throughout your life. It's a combination of tangible and intangible assets that you typically gain from being a part of particular socioeconomic status. Next slide, please. And the last one, the natural capital. Natural capital refers to the earth naturally occurring resources that are necessary to sustain life. This type of capital includes the environmental goods that provide the basic condition for human survival, such as food, water, oxygen, and other essential resources. Next slide, please. And now, the source of capital. So, we have uh, four categories, which is the financial assets, tangible assets, human capital, and brand capital. Next slide, please. And now let's move on to sources of funding, sole proprietorship, which is my report. So personal savings. Personal savings, sole proprietorship use their own personal savings to fund their businesses. This is one of the most common sources of financial funding. But before we move forward, I would like to explain the sole proprietorship. Ang solo proprietorship, ito ay isang uri ng negosyo kung saan ay may-ari ay iisa lamang at siya rin ang responsable na nagpapatakbo at nagmay-ari ng isang negosyo. Ibig sabihin, ang may-ari ng solo proprietorship ay nagmamay-ari ng negosyo at kumikita lahat ng kita ay mula dito. Ito ay isang simpleng instruktura ng negosyo na karaniwang ginagamit sa mga maliliit na negosyante tulad ng mga lakal, tindahan, at serbisyong profesional. And now, let's go to loan from friends. So loan from friends, some sole proprietors may borrow money from friends or family members to start or expand their businesses. So dito, may mga ilang daw na proprietor na umuutang ng pera mula sa kaibigan o kamag-anak upang simulan ang palawakin ang kanilang negosyo. Yes, ginagawa nila ng mga nagsisimula yon. And number 3, the trade credit, collecting credit goods. This involves obtaining goods or services in credit from suppliers, allowing the sole proprietor to delay payment until later date. So dito, ito ay nangangahulugan daw ng pagbuha ng mga kalakal o serbisyo mula sa mga supplier at nagbibigay daan sa mga solo proprietor o ipagliban ang pagbabayad hanggang sa isang mas huli pang pitsa. And number 4, the loan in overdraft from banks. Sole proprietor can secure loans or overdrafts from bank to finance their businesses activities. These funds are typically repaid with interest over time. So, maaaring kumuha ang mga loan or overdraft ang mga solo proprietor mula sa mga bangko upang ponduhan ang kanilang mga gawain sa mga kanilang businesses. And then, karaniwan itong binabayaran kasama ang mga interes, mga oras na itinakda. And the last one, the grants loans from government. Oh, this is not the last one. Ito ay maaaring mag-alok ng mga ahensya ng gobyerno ng mga grant o loan upang suportahan ang mga maliit na negosyo na nagbibigay ng pinagmulan ng pondo para sa mga solo proprietor. Next slides. Personal contribution for partners. Dito naman, kung may partners ang solo proprietorship, Maaaring magbigay sila ng personal na pondo sa negosyo. And then, the loan. Next slides. Hindi po yan. Hindi. Pinakataas. Pinakataas. Wala nang iba.
Wala na, yan lang yun.
Sa baba niyan.
Alin?
Yung sa baba niyan. Yan.
Ito na, iba na to eh.
No, hindi yan. Lampas ka na, Dre.
Wala, yan lang. Sunod-sunod na yan eh. Sources of funding sold appropriate.
O next.
Ito na next.
Ayun nga yun.
Alin?
And then, the loans and overdraft. Ay, tapos na.
Ito.
Next reporter, Clarissa. So, initial public offering. A public offering in a private company refers to the process of offering shares of a private corporation to the public in a new stock issuance. An IPO allows a company to raise capital from public investor. So, initial public offering is this process is known as in essence means that a company ownership is transitioning from a private ownership to public ownership. For that reason, the IPO process is sometimes referred to as going public. So there are the two types of IPO, fixed price issue and book building issue. So fixed price issue is the company along with its underwriters evaluates its assets, liabilities, and every financial aspect to fix a price per issue to achieve the target funds. The share price is fixed on the first day of the issue and is printed in the order document. So book building issue, ito naman yung the price shares is discovered during the process of IPO. There is no fixed price, but there is a price band. The lowest price in the band is called the floor price, and the highest is the cap price. So there are four types investors in an IPO. Institutional investor or qualified institutional investor includes commercial banks, mutual fund, houses, public financial institution, and foreign portfolio investor. So the non-institutional investor net or includes individual investor or institution that large trust, big companies, and similar institutions who are willing to invest more. So the third is retail individual investor or RIS. Includes any individual investor willing to subscribe or shares a VAB. So the fourth one is anchor investor. Includes apply for an IPO for a value or more through book building process. Yung first, the institutional is the legal entities that participate in trading in the financial markets. The next institutional is in the individual or entities that invest in various financial instruments but are not large enough to be considered institutional investor. So what is IPO and how it works? This is one of a method that companies can use to go public, which will make its stock available to retail traders. So the company will decide how many shares it wants to offer and an investment bank will suggest an initial price for the shares based on the predicted demand for them. So ano nga ba yung IPO sa Pilipinas? This is the which shares of a private company are made available to the public for the first time that raised equity capital from public investors. So yung mga benefits ng IPO is gains from listing, enhanced liquidity, fair opportunities for retail investors, stringent IPO regulations, cost-effective purchase, shareholder authority. So next slide please. And balik mo. So may risk.
So wala po yung iba naming grupo. Ako na lang po yung magre-report. Risk involves on the sources of funding. So we have interest rate risk, refinancing risk, risk of loss operating autonomy. Sa interest rate risk, ito ay tumutukoy sa panganib na maapektuhan ang halaga ng isang investment dahil sa pagbabago ng interest. So halimbawa na lang, kung tumaas ang interest, maaaring bumaba ang halaga ng mga bonds o loans na may fixed na interest. And number 2, the refinancing risk. Ito ay panganib na makakapag-refinance ng utang sa magandang kondisyon. Kung tataas naman ang interest o masasama sa kalagayan ng credit. And then, mahirap o mahal ay maaaring maging pag-refinance ng utang. And the last one is, hindi. Ay, sa'yo yan. Sige, Kla. Sorry, sir.
So there are three risks in capital. First is interest rate risk, refinancing risk, risk of lost operating autonomy. So what is internet rate risk? This is the probability of a decline in a value of an asset resulting from unexpected fluctuations in interest rates. So this is mostly associated sa mga fixed incomes assets or sa mga group like company. So rather than with equity investment. So that interest rate is a primary drivers of a bond price. So for example, the internet rates rise above the rate locked in the time of purchase. The bond price falls. So this is known as interest risk. So refinancing risk, so also known as rollover risk, is the risk of being unable to refinance existing debt with a new debt. So which can result in a higher interest rates or the need to repay the debt in full. So putting financial strains on individuals, organization, banks, and financial institutions. Also, refinancing occurs when the terms of an existing loan, such as interest rates, payment schedules, or other terms are revised. So if the borrowers tend refinance, interest rates fall, The refinancing involves the re-evaluation of a person or business credit and repayment status. So there is an example of refinance risk, which a business or individual, depending the refinancing to cover their debt, could end up losing money. Instead, first is refinancing risk in short-term debt. So this is considered a home building company that takes on a large amount of short-term debt to fund the projects. So company strategies is to regularly replace this debt with new debt. So it works well until the credit market suddenly sees up because of a banking crisis and banks become unwilling to offer the company any new loans. So example, the builder needs to sell some of its property at a large discount in order to quickly raise money to cover the obligations. So it's resulting in a seizable financial law. Next is a home mortgage. Who plans the refinance out of it some future date, such as before an interest rate reset. So para ma-avoid yung mga unaffordable increases sa mga monthly payments nila, so that interest rates rise or home prices fall in the meantime. So next is the longer term debt. This is suppose the company makes a large offering or more bonds, so that's structured to provide small payments in the first years, so that company experience as a failed product launch that damages its profitability. So last is mitigating refinancing risk. So this most financial transaction involve some degree of risk. So what is types of refinancing? This is several types of refinancing options. This is a type of loan borrower decides to get depends on the needs of the borrower. So it includes the rate and term refinancing. This is a common type of refinancing that occurs when the original loan is paid and replaced with a new loan agreement that requires lower interest payments. Next is cash out refinancing. An underlying assets that collateralize the loan has increased in value. This transaction involves withdrawing the value or equity in the assets in exchanging of a higher loan amount. So in other words, an asset increases in value on paper, so you can gain access to that value with a loan rather than by selling it. So the total loan amount, it gives the borrower access to cash immediately while still maintaining ownership of the assets. So next is cash-in refinancing. It allows the borrower to pay down some portion of the loan for a lower loan-to-value or LTV ratio or smaller loan payments. Last is consolidation refinancing. A consolidation loan may be an effective way to refinance. A consolidation refinancing can be used when an investor obtains a single loan at a rate that is lower than their current average interest rate across several credit products. So risk of lost operating autonomy, the third part of risk. Loss of autonomy is defined as the inability of a person to perform certain daily tasks on their own. So for example, employees may experience the negative impact or flexible working hours because they cannot communicate or cooperate with other employees because they do not work at the same time. In excessive job autonomy may trigger counterproductive behavior by employees. example of loss of autonomy is the affects a person's ability to function and can cause adjustment challenges or aggravate existing problems. Next slide, please.
Last na yan.
Steps in IPO.
Yan, pabalas na yan eh. Wala na. Nasabi mo na yung steps ng IPO eh. Ito?
Sabay-sabay tayo. 1, 2, 3, go.
So are there 5 types of steps in IPO? Below are the steps a company must undertake to go public via an IPO process. 1 is select a bank. 2 is due diligence and filings. 3 is pricing. 4th, stabilization. And 5th is transition. So in select an investment bank, is for the issuing company to choose an investment bank to advise the company on its IPO and to provide underwriting services. So there are the following criteria. First is reputation, second is the quality of research, third is industry expertise, and fourth is distribution if the investment bank can provide the issued securities to more institutional investors or to more individual investors. And last is prior relationship with the investment bank. So steps 2 is due diligence and filings. This process through which an investment bank acts as a broker between the issuing company and the existing public to help the issuing of the initial sets of shares. So there following agreements are available to issuing company. First is firm commitment. Under such an agreement, the underwriter purchases the whole offer and resells the shares to the investment public. So it guarantees the issuing company that a particular sum money will be raised. Second is the best efforts agreement. This is under such an agreement or underwriter does not guarantee the amount that they will raise for the issuing company, so it only sells the securities on behalf of the company. The third is, the fourth is all or none agreement. This is the offer shares can be sold. The offering is cancelled. So the last is syndicate of underwriters. This public offering can be managed by one underwriter or sole managed or by multiple managers. So when there are multiple managers, one investment bank is selected as the lead or booking running manager. So under such an agreement, the lead investment bank forms a syndicate of underwriters by forming strategic alliances with other banks. Such as an agreement arises when the lead investment banks wants to diversify the risk of an IPO among multiple banks. So the third step is pricing. So after the IPO, this is approved by the SEC, so the effective date is decided. So deciding the offer price is important because it is the price at which the issuing company raised capital for itself. So the following factors affecting of the offering price is the success or failure of the roadshows. Next is the company's goal, and the third is condition of the market economy. So IPOs are often underpriced to ensure that the issue is fully oversubscribed by the public investor, even if it results in the issuing company not receiving the full value of its shares. The fourth is stabilization. The fourth step is stabilization. So after the issue has been brought to the market, the underwriter has to provide analysts, recommendations, after market stabilization, and create a market for the stock issues. So stabilization activities can only be carried out for a short period of time. During this period of time, the underwriter has the freedom to trade and influence the price of the issue as prohibitions against price manipulation are suspended. So the last is transition or the transition to market competition. This final stage of the IPO process, the transition to market competitions, once the quiet period. So during this period, investors transition from relying on the mandated disclosures and the prospectus to relying on the market forces for information regarding their shares. So underwriters can provide estimates regarding the earnings and valuation of the issuing company.
So that's all, everyone. So thank you so much for listening. We we are
Or the
hoping.
underwriter assumes the roles of advisors and the evaluator once the issue has been made. So this is the last of my report. So we explain the inconvenience because the two group has dropped out po, tas yung isa po absent. Kaya po kinuha po namin yung part nila.
Yes,
So
we
thank
are
you po.
we are hoping that na kahit papaano na na i-present namin sa inyo ang aming report. Maraming salamat po sa pakikinig. Pagpasensyahan niyo na po ulit. Maraming salamat. Good morning.